Let's talk about Bob Beamon. Now, Bob is a former Olympic champion and world record holder in the long jump. And his jump that got him the gold medal at the 1968 Olympic Games was so monumental that it broke the previous record by almost 2 feet. That's led to the word Beamonesque literally being used in the sport commonly to this day to describe any athletic feat that's been so superior to what has come before it. It's literally overwhelming. And Beamon cemented himself in the history books with his mark at the 1968 Olympic Games. Now, let's talk about what actually just happened a couple of weeks ago right here in New York City. This is Bob Beamon's medal. This medal from the 1968 Olympic Games in Mexico City was just auctioned off for $441,000. Now, this may seem kind of surprising as normal people like me or you would probably never give up an Olympic medal, right? We'd probably cherish it for the rest of our lives because it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, a once-in-a-lifetime medal, and especially a medal that has so much history and is attached to such a legendary mark. But before we dive into why Bob Beamon, as well as some other Olympic athletes, have sold their medals, we have to dive a little bit back into the past to understand who Bob Beamon is and where he comes from. First off, why are we even here in New York City? Well, this is where Bob Beamon is from, right here. Well, not right here in New York City in the Armory, but actually, hold on a sec. All right, that's more like it. So in 1946, Bob Beamon was actually born right here in Jamaica, Queens. And when he was 11 months old, his mother actually died due to tuberculosis. That led him to be raised by his grandmother in the Jamaica houses. Now, Bob attended Jamaica High School, which is just right behind me here in Queens, and this is where he was discovered by Coach Larry Ellis, who eventually recruited him to perform in track and field, and Bob went on to become one of the greatest athletes in the entire country. I actually got a chance to speak with Bob Beamon over the phone recently, and he spoke about his upbringing right here in Queens, being raised by his grandmother, and growing up without his parents.
My life was somewhat difficult, to grow up in a situation where, my mother passed away when I was 11 months old, and I never knew my father. So a lot of things started to develop in the wrong way, and I started to get in a lot of trouble. Sent to an alternative school.
The experiences that Bob Beamon had growing up, from gangs, crime, drugs, they all were really pivotal in his life and shaped and molded who he was at a young age. He notably got in a lot of fights while he was in school here in Jamaica and eventually was transferred to a detention center and later an alternative school right here in New York City. But Bob was able to kind of reflect on the attention and the focus that track and field had for him while he was competing here in Jamaica High School and how it gave him the opportunity of a lifetime.
So I think the sports became my friend, my hook in life, and so I think that I had made the wise decision to take that road as opposed to the other road.
After high school, Bob went on to attend North Carolina A&T and then later UTEP in Texas on a track and field scholarship. But fast forward to 1968, and Bob Beamon had grown to become one of the greatest long jumpers in the world. Still attending UTEP, Bob Beamon had won both the long jump and the triple jump at the NCAA as well as the AAU Indoor Championships. He also won the long jump at the AAU Outdoor Championships. He also would have likely won the NCAA Outdoor title as well, but in the spring of 1968, Bob was actually kicked off the track and field team at UTEP. After Martin Luther King was assassinated, Bob Beamon, along with a few other of his teammates, actually boycotted a meet that UTEP was attending at BYU, specifically because of the Book of Mormon's views on black people at the time. This led to UTEP not only kicking them off the team, but also revoking their track and field scholarships, leaving them without the opportunity to compete in track and field, but also the ability to pay for school and attend as a student.
At the University of Texas, El Paso, I had, along with 11 other black athletes, we boycotted Brigham Young. And by doing that, all of us lost our scholarships because we protested against what their beliefs were about black people and so forth. And it was pretty ugly. And so at that time, I was faced with, losing a scholarship and trying to keep my eye on the prize, which was to make the Olympic team. I had done that. And it was quite an experience to have that happen even before we talked about boycott, the boycotting the Olympics. We're coming out of boycotting Brigham Young. Now it's instead of boycotting the Olympics.
But that didn't deter Bob, as he went on to qualify for the 1968 Olympic Games and then lit the track on fire in Mexico City with his legendary performance. As we all know, Bob would not only go on to win the long jump gold medal at those Mexico City Olympic Games, but he would also break the world record in an immaculate performance, jumping 8.90 meters, breaking the previous world record by such a huge amount that he literally coined the term Beamonesque to define a performance that is otherworldly.
They coined a name after me called Beamonesque, and it's in the Webster Dictionary. So I'm the only athlete that ever had his name coined in a dictionary as a definition of what that is. Beamonesque means extraordinary, unbelievable, exciting, incredible, going beyond the imagination. It's a beautiful thing. I think that's an incredible accomplishment to be in the Webster Dictionary.
Gold medal around his neck, feet planted at the top of the podium, and the national anthem playing in the background, Bob Beamon rose his fist to the air, and the crowd cheered for his amazing accomplishment at those 1968 Olympic Games in Mexico City.
It was overwhelming, but it was, to break a record by 2 feet, just about. I almost broke the Olympic record by 3 feet. So it was truly a moment where you feel like, is this a dream? So you got to paint yourself to make sure that this is real and that it's not a dream. And so all those things were going through my head, I expected only to win a gold medal, and all of the extra little things like breaking the Olympic and world record was just a wonderful feeling.
Now, back here in the Armory, but I want to get to how Bob Beamon's gold medal was actually auctioned off, but to do that, we have to understand what was occurring after the 1968 Olympic Games. Back in the 1960s, track and field was still an amateur sport, so a lot of these athletes weren't getting paid like we know athletes do today. Many athletes were still in school competing, they would go on to the Olympics, and then afterwards, they would go on to get a quote-unquote regular job. So Bob Beamon did a few things after those 1968 Olympics, including getting drafted by the Phoenix Suns at the 1969 draft, but he unfortunately never got a chance to actually play on the court. He also spent time coaching, writing a book, doing art, doing music, as well as working closely with universities and museums on various different initiatives and projects during his time. Now, since that earth-shattering performance back at the 1968 Olympics where he broke the world record, got the gold medal, Bob has been heralded as a legend, not only in track and field, but in sports as a whole, and has been recognized as the amazing athlete that we all know him to be. So to see his medal up for auction was kind of a bit surprising, considering what it means to probably not only him, but also the track and field world and the sports world as a whole. In a recent interview with Sports Illustrated, Bob actually explained why he's putting his medal up for sale. He said, quote, "I've enjoyed it for over 55 years and I still enjoy it, but I think it's something for the world to see and for someone to enjoy. I'm 77 years old now. The memories and the love of it is just wonderful. However, I think passing it on would be a wonderful experience for me." A really heartfelt message and really true to his word. And as I've said, that long jump performance at the 1968 Olympics can't be replicated and will go down as one of the greatest moments in sporting history. So for Bob to pass on that moment in the form of his Olympic gold medal is a true form of gratitude. But there's of course a larger conversation about athletes either selling or giving away their Olympic medals that we definitely have to touch upon. And I want to be clear that I truly believe Bob when he says that it's time to pass on his medal as an experience for someone else. So I don't want some of these other stories to dictate what Bob has done and what he wants to do. Every athlete is going to have a different story as to why they either sell or give away their medals. So let's talk about a few of these athletes throughout history. The first example is Greg Louganis, who is one of the most decorated Olympians, having won a total of 4 gold medals in diving at both the 1984 and 1988 Games. He is actually still the only man and just a second person in history to sweep the diving events at consecutive Olympics, and he's considered to be one of, if not the greatest diver in history. But Louganis faced some serious financial issues later in life, and in 2012, he actually approached an auction house to sell all his medals for up to $100,000 each. Though he eventually didn't actually sell his medals and instead sold his house, it really still shows the circumstances an athlete as accomplished as him were actually put in. Now, he wrote an article in Vox in 2016 saying, quote, "The majority of Olympic athletes are not set for life with endorsement deals and speaking engagements. My life is a testament to that fact. Despite my fame, I didn't get put on the coveted Wheaties box after my Olympic victories." And his story of financial issues is not that unique, as we also have Mark Wells, Olympic gold medalist in 1980 in hockey. After a mixed career in the NHL where he never even got to play, he retired from the sport and got injured while working as a restaurant manager, and he eventually had to undergo surgery. So, to afford it, he eventually sold his Olympic gold medal for $40,000 just to pay his medical bills. And for the next example, we don't even have to go that far, as one of Wells' teammates from that 1980 Olympic gold medal hockey team also sold his medal. Mark Palovich, who actually had a very successful career in the NHL, sold his medal in 2014 for over $250,000 after dealing with some challenging life circumstances, including the death of his wife 2 years prior. And unfortunately, in 2021, Palovich actually took his own life. He noted the reason he sold his medal was for his daughter to, quote, get a step forward in life. That's probably the biggest reason. Additionally, you also have Vin Baker, 2000 Olympic gold medalist in basketball and an NBA All-Star on the Milwaukee Bucks all throughout the 1990s. After he retired in 2006, it was reported that he was dealing with financial issues, and he eventually sold his Olympic gold in 2014 for $67,000. But financial issues is only one side of the story. You also have athletes who give away their medals to raise money for a charity or simply for a good cause. 2000 Olympic swimming gold medalist Anthony Irving actually auctioned off his gold medal in 2004 and donated the money to victims of the Indian tsunami. Right here in track and field, we have Tommy Smith, the 1968 Olympic gold medalist in the 200, who was banned for protesting on the podium alongside John Carlos. He has attempted to actually auction off his medal to support his youth program, but he has yet to actually do so. But even more recently, Peter Malachowski, who has won silver in the discus at the 2016 Olympics, he auctioned off his medal to raise money for a child who had a rare eye cancer. Now, he eventually sold the medal to Polish billionaires who covered the cost of the surgery. And these are really just a few of the many examples throughout history of athletes who have either sold or given away their medals. So why did Bob Beamon sell his medal? Well, as he stated before in Sports Illustrated, it would be a wonderful experience for him to pass on his medal to someone else. Additionally, he spoke with AFP ahead of the auction and said, quote, "The auction was an excellent way to showcase the medal, but also to preserve the memory of it. I'm hoping it will go to a buyer who understands the importance of sporting achievement." I think his reasoning falls in line with the charity aspect more than anything else. As legendary as Bob is, I think he understands the importance of the moment he had in 1968, and he wants to keep that legacy alive in the form of his Olympic medal being passed on to someone else. Beamon said, quote, "What is a person's life worth or their achievements worth? There is no amount, but we do have some numbers that people can put towards the awards that they have collected for those achievements. It does an incredible thing for the sport. I don't have my medal anymore, but it doesn't stop me from always thinking and feeling and visualizing all the things I did to get to the point and afterwards." So as we can see, there's a plethora of different reasons as to why an athlete may sell or give away their medal, whether it's charity, whether it's financial, whether it's selling it for auction, whether it's just gratitude out of the kindness of their heart. Regardless of why these athletes either chose to give away or sell their medals, I think we can all acknowledge that it doesn't take away from the hard work and the accomplishments that these athletes like Bob Beamon achieved, and they are cemented in history and will forever be remembered as some of the greatest athletes in the world. Thanks for watching.